Oh, what's up, people? You almost caught me with my glasses on. I can't let that happen. Oh, oh. It is. Was it Wednesday night? I think it's Wednesday night. And oh man. Um. Oh, all right. Guess my webcam jacked up again. Oh. So, uh, let's just go ahead and bring him on. Let's just go ahead and bring him on. You got Liberty Bell, Van Burgess. What's up, Bill, Joseph, Jordan, and Mr. Liberty Bell.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's going on?
Oh man, I was waiting for this large introduction and all this fancy stuff, but we just brought me on, so I'll take it. I'll take it. How you doing tonight?
Well, we're doing good. Just got going. Sitting here looking at my dog down here, see what he's doing. Make sure he ain't peeing on my leg.
I don't know where ours is. He's probably sleeping.
Oh, so what a weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was actually a really good weekend. Obviously, we're getting into the colder temperatures, so made things a little bit interesting for sure, especially where we were at. But I think we made the best of it, and Matt and the crew and all of them put on a good show. So, and then Sunday, very cold Sunday morning. So,
wasn't that bad?
yeah, I didn't have shorts on, so but cooler, yes. But the sun come out and ended up being an excellent day as well. So very, very happy. I would have liked to performed a little better, but that happens, and that's just part of racing. But I had a great weekend helping my crew and other guys. So
Yeah.
it went well.
So, we already have a question already.
Oh, already great.
All right. Are you still undefeated at George Ray's small tire events?
Yes, I am. Actually, Tyler. I believe it was a weather issue. We were supposed to have a race here a couple weeks ago. It was gonna be the fourth race, and I believe the last race of the season. But he has moved it now. And I believe it's the weekend that something else is going on in Mexico. But I'm going to have to go down, and I got a bounty on my head. So if I can win, it'll be my fourth win in a row there at that track.
I got you. I've never been there. I've kind of been enticed to go, but just I never been.
Tyler, I've known him, and I believe his grandpa. I never actually met him, but it's about, I would say, from where I've been, it's about the most, and I say backwoods, and I say that in a nice way, but but it's if you can handle the three rice fields and the mosquitoes. It's about the best, just little backwoods drag strip in the back of, I believe it started in his grandpa's backyard. So it's pretty amazing, and you truly know you're on no prep when you go to George Ray's. So it's something that you should come to next year if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm down. So I think the first time I seen your car was at the 28th deal in Kansas City.
Yes,
The very first time, the very first one, I think.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh, can you hear me, Sil? You're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, can you hear me? Check. Hello. Oh boy.
I can hear you now.
All right. Uh,
Oh, yeah, the first time you see my car was at Kansas City.
yeah.
Okay. Yes. So let me take you back on a little history tour here and try not to get too off subject. But, um, I've been doing this, street racing probably since I could drive from, having my first car, an 85 Mustang when I was 15 and a freshman driving to school. I've been nothing but intrigued with drag racing and street racing. So I got so many years invested in, and and then I got into competitively racing for a lot of years, from Mean Street to Cheap Street to X275. Um, all of them that you could think of. People laughed at me going to some of the easy street races at Jackson. I was like the first guy to ever have a 275 drag radial on a car, and everybody else. Well, you remember the 295 tires that everybody had to have, and I had I had a 275, and it was just dominating the field. So I have VHS tapes of racing with Scott Lowry in Memphis on Summer Avenue in the 90s. I've raced Woody back when he had the Inco Orange Nova up in St. Louis. Some of the guys that have passed away now. I remember Kevin Thompson from Memphis. Some of just old heads. I guess I'm just preaching about my age, but getting back to my career of racing and what I did, I kind of got out of. I started my own business. I started tuning and started R&D and F body and LS1s back probably in 2006, and I just was intrigued with how much you could do with such a simple motor, and how much horsepower they would handle, and just you could beat on them and beat on them and beat on them and beat on them. And PTC was fairly new back then on converters in terms of what they did for 4L60s and stuff. And I've been doing business with Kenny forever, and he got me R&D and converters for him. And I told myself, I said, one day I'm going to put an LS in a Mustang. And I believe it was in 2009 I did. And I believe I was one of the first guys to do it. And just started back in finally got into X275, got faster and faster. Ended up stopping in 2014. Competition was just getting fierce. I think I was somewhere in the 460 zone, which back then in 2014 was still pretty competitive. But you could tell the class was going somewhere. So I thought, budget wise, I'm ready to regroup. And then, the Street Outlaws thing started. Hell, I'm so old. I even did an episode on Pinks. I don't, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I just got back into the street stuff. So I had a couple F bodies I played around with, and then I got into some big tire stuff, and that was really competitive when it actually was popular. But I was still, my heart was always in a Fox body Mustang. That's what I've always had. So I started getting into. I got this car, I don't know, a little over a year and a half now, and man, it was just so out of whack, out of sorts, and the suspension was off. And I fought this thing for a year. And I initially meant to make Matt's first race back when I believe Beater Bomb and Ryan come down. And I was so disappointed that I just didn't feel confident enough that my car would be competitive. So I worked on it that winter, come back out this year, and I really started doing a lot of testing and just studying and using my knowledge I do my own tuning. I do my own suspension setup. I try to do everything myself, just that way, if anyone's to blame, it's myself. Or I just point at the wife and say it's your fault, but it's not. But you know what I mean. So
How does that work
uh,
out?
that really doesn't work out. I get that look, and then I think, and then I know I'm not going to get her world famous brownies. So
Oh,
yeah, if you haven't had those, I'm sure that someone will chime in on how great they are. Um, so anyway, but she's a great support, so she helps me. But kind of finally catching up to the race in Kansas City. I really didn't have a team. We had, kind of the 573 Street Racers, um, which was a group of about five real good friends of mine. We did do a couple cash days in Memphis that were put on by some of the locals. We did pretty good it was a state kind of deal. We come down there on pro bracket radials and just, seemingly dominated them, and everybody was like, "How are you doing it on radials?" But we just had a good group. We do a lot of testing, and we just we work well together. So, but I was searching for something else, and I'd followed Matt for a while, um, and I liked the program that. He was offering and what he was doing and how he'd run things, and I asked him every once in a while, what's it take, what can I do, what do I got to do, and I was actually in another group for a while, and great people, great guys, but just they were going a little different direction than I wanted to go. So I actually come down, I guess it was in March or April. When was Matt's first race, or the second race per se. And I think he had 28 or 30 cars, and I actually ended up winning that event. So kind of raised some eyebrows. It was the first time, really some people, seeing that I was doing something. So I was pretty pumped, got that race, and then got more involved with Matt. And then I told him, I said, "Hey, I want to go up with the big boys. I want to go to Kansas City, and I want to see where I'm at." You know, didn't come a little undergunned, and I say that not as in lack of power, but I think lack of testing and not knowing how good that road was. I truly believe that I got the car and I can make the power, but I just I didn't. There wasn't any ducks, and I had Nathaniel Lika, who is just dominant out there. So just his experience. My first weekend on 28s was that weekend, but all in all, I was happy, and I think I've got a lot more handle on the car now, and obviously the winning streaks. And I'm not going to races and there's four cars there. We're talking 28 to 35 cars, going round. So
yeah.
so I'm getting a handle on it. So I'm pretty excited there. So
And we got another question here
okay.
from Matt Lamb. Tell this dude I want to arm wrestle him.
Oh, Matt. Okay, yeah, there he is. Okay, Matt. There's a funny story about Matt. Okay, so so now he's got and I got a little scratch paper today of things I might address, and Matt was on there.
Oh
So
boy.
So I met Matt at Kansas City. So okay, he's this big angry looking dude, and here. And I get a lot of that too, that, I'm not super personable and I'm not easy to come up, but I don't think that way, but I guess just being bigger and that's just how it is. So here I'm sizing up this Matt guy, and he's over kind of leaning on his truck and I'm kind of leaning on my car, and we're kind of looking at each other like neither one of us know what we want to say to each other, but we want to say something. But we're doing pardon my French, but who's got the bigger what kind of competition here. But the interesting thing is that and I think Boston George was up there, and he might have been actually racing him. I can't remember, but we were all just sitting up there chilling out. And finally he spoke, and we both have a very similar sense of humor in terms of a kind of sarcasm, and he'd throw something at me, and I'd throw something at him, and I knew right then that this guy's legit. He's not a dick, and I think I think he knew that about me, and then I busted his ass the whole weekend, just giving him crap and bugging him and just playing with him and having a good time with him and his crew. And actually he can speak for my wife's brownies, because I think they took like 3 pans, and I'm over there talking to him like, oh, the brownies are great. Well, unbeknownst to me, my wife had done got with them and gave them brownies, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. So me and Matt since then have hit it off, and we talk a lot, and just a real good guy, and I'm glad to call him one of my friends now. And I watched him the other day, and he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's fairly new into it, but I think he's got the knowledge and the know-how to be right there with all the guys. But anyway, if he wants to arm wrestle, let's get it on.
Oh, so it's a date, huh? Or not really a date?
Yeah, let's not go there date wise. But I mean, I don't want to hurt him, but I may have did some arm wrestling back in the day, but so
he didn't get no brownies. What the fuck?
Oh, who? Nick? Is that? And I apologize. I don't know, and I don't know everyone, but my wife always has brownies. So if you guys are ever at a race, in Mexico or at the track or whatever, just come over and introduce yourself and say, "Hey, we heard about the brownies." And they're not the brownies. You know what I mean? They're legit brownies. So she does a great job at that. So don't be shy. I won't bite. My dog might bite. My wife might bite, but I won't bite. So what else we got here? My old Michael Huckabee.
Start trying to act like you're nice.
Well, really, as my and I'm not trying to act like I'm nice. He's just giving me hell. And Michael's a good a friend of mine. I did a lot of work on his truck, and really stepped up his program. He's got a little. I believe he come out to Salisaw with Memphis 10. He's got the little. Well, you've seen it, the little primered S10 twin turbo with all the horse feed in the back.
What's that? Crazy Margie or something?
Yeah, Crazy Margie. That's him.
Yeah.
So if you that's him. But anyway, yeah, we've become good friends, and I help. I do tuning on his truck and try to guide him in the right direction. And about bit me in the butt at Dyersburg. I went over and put a tune in his truck and looked over, and those guys are good at what they do, but they like to just ask me a few questions, and I'm like, well, change this, and I put this in the boost controller, and by golly, literally, it was a photo finish. I thought, what have I done? The student has almost beat the teacher. So, and that happened this weekend racing one of my SSR teammates. But I met a couple good people. The entertainer, this weekend we hit it off, and we talked for a long time last night, and I told him straight up, if you're willing to give me the respect and recognize that me out here winning and being out there and showing up, and we travel everywhere we go. I'm racing almost every weekend, and whether I'm winning or losing, I'm out there doing it because it's just giving me more data, and I meet people and I learn things from people. So I don't mind helping when I can help. Now I got some secrets that I'm not going to always let out. But I guess that's kind of how you try to stay on top. So, but I got a few guys on my bucket list that I'd like to beat, but I'm just it hasn't happened yet, and hopefully next year it will. But and if I don't, then I'm still. I even told the entertainer, and I call him that because that's his card's name. That I was honored to be able to race him, watching him, and he probably he didn't know me from Adam's Ape running X275. And, here I am watching him on, your videos and 660 videos and these YouTube things. And it was just a privilege and an honor per se to be able to race him and I won. But so it was a good experience. So, but good group of guys, and actually I think I got some information for him that I think is going to help his program, and so I think you'll see some good things coming out of their camp that they don't already have going for them. So,
Yeah, they're a tight knit group over there. They've been doing this stuff for a while, and I'm probably not as long as you, but they like to have fun. They like to party. They travel just every weekend as well, or they're racing everywhere, somewhere, street
right.
or track or whatever. Mostly street, but they're a good bunch of guys. So, what? Look at that thing. How big is that sucker?
How big is that?
Good. I mean, well, hold on. I don't
Let's
know let's don't know if that's the right thing. How big is that thing from a guy's perspective?
Well, can you emphasize if you're talking about the picture of the turbo in front of the
Yeah,
car?
yeah.
Okay. Can you put
Yeah.
that back up there again?
Good Lord, that's bad.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give if we want to get a couple people involved here, and if I know them, it don't count. But give three people three guesses of what size turbo I have. Play a
All
little game.
right,
Play a little game here. If
who we
anybody's
got?
watching.
Who? Thanks. All right,
Because
who we got?
I can't see what people are saying, or I don't want
Yeah,
to hit anything and mess it up.
what size turbo does Van have? Nobody's even saying nothing yet.
Oh gosh, we
They're
got
scared. They're scared.
we got four people watching. That's probably
Uh
why.
oh. Rodney Harris says not big enough for two kits.
Oh geez, there you go. There's the other teammate that I worked on his car till 1 a.m. after Saturday night and helped him and got him right. And by golly, he took me out. But I'm proud of Rodney and proud that he got his car coming back around. But good guy, good car, fast car. So, but I'll get him. I'll get him.
All right, so they're coming in now. Where are we at? My finish line guy said, where did we start? He's the first one that said something. 96. Rolly Dale says 108. That's a 108. 102.
Oof.
120. Good
God.
Lord.
Good. Damn. They're going to be highly disappointed.
76, 65,
Ooh, that's Mike.
88, or
Oh, just
87.
okay. Justin's answer doesn't count. Um, it's a
107.
okay. It's a so this turbo I've run since I had it built. A Works turbochargers. Built this turbo, I believe, in 2013 when I was running X275. It was an 88 millimeter legal turbo. Um, it's since been upgraded with a billet wheel, but probably about 6-year-old technology billet wheel. I've never ever had it freshened up. It does have a fairly large exhaust wheel on it. I'll just leave it at that. But it is an 88 millimeter, so and I won't say any names, but I got a good friend of mine that I help, and he called one of the companies, and he told them, and this guy knows who I am, and he told them, this is what turbo I want, this is what van's running, and he's went this fast at this mile an hour and in X trim and yada yada yada, and the guy kind of laughed at him and said, that's a played out 88 millimeter. Nobody does those no more. So I thought it was just funny that. So I'm just running an old played out 88 turbo, nothing fancy. So,
well, it looks big.
Well, and there's a story to that. So let's get into the story of that. And like I said, I try to do most of my stuff myself. So and I try to be on a budget as much as I can, but so I didn't want to buy a front end. And I used to have a center mount turbo on my X car, and I had the fancy front end, and everything was perfect. But I'm like, I got this dime a dozen stock Mustang front end, So I ended up over the winter. I bought Rock Solid's tubular front end kit, because I was like, I want to front mount this thing. I want to put my radiator in the back. And just have some room up here. So I put the front end kit on it and everything, and here I am trying to figure out, and I'm trying to pick up the front end by myself, and then the wife's helping, and I'm screaming at her, and we're trying to get it lined up, so I put the marks on. Okay, this is where I'm cutting for this turbo. So mind you, it didn't have the volute on it then. It was just a regular front 5-inch or 6-inch outlet turbo. So I get it all cut and get everything mocked up, and I'm about 4 inches the wrong way. Like I totally is like supper's ready, and I'd already cut it, or I cut it after that, and I was just totally off. So I'm like, what the heck? So I went ahead and cut it on out. Well, as you would guess, there's just this huge hole there, and it just looked horrible. So I'm like, okay, where have I seen one of these volutes at? So I get to looking around, and some of the street outlaw guys with them huge 150 turbos, they got these. And I found a place out of Canada. And I called him and I said, look, I made a boo-boo, and I really don't want to buy a new front end, but I've got it all nice and cut smooth. Here's my measurements. This is how far away my turbo is. This is the spot I want to fill up. He said, ain't no problem. I can make you whatever you want. And not only will, it'll direct the air in and it'll make it look better. So it's kind of an intimidating kind of look. It makes it look bigger than what it is, but really it was a mess up on my part. But, I fixed it by putting that volute on there. So, I wish it was, and if anyone's listening, a turbo sponsor, if you want to throw a 94 or 107 or something my way, I'm game. So
you'll try it out.
Yeah, actually, we'll R&D it for you. I don't care if it's on 3. I don't care. I've run them, and I have no problem with the Chinese turbo. So it ain't got to be Jose or Reed or Precision. And for one, I'm not paying $8,000 for a turbo. It just ain't happening. So so send me an on 3 107. Let's get it on.
Yeah. Brian Norville said at the 88, can he get a rematch on the street?
Can I get a rematch on the street, Van? Whew. Um, sure. I'm actually going to be in the Memphis area this weekend. Um, Possibly going to be doing some things. I got some cars I'm going to be tuning at Jamie's race Saturday. Um, so I'm debating on if I'm going to race my car in the event or just take it down for just some grudge racing on the street. So sure. I do have another race that I believe is locked up. I think already with Billy and some of his guys are coming down from Ohio, and he's another a guy that I see a lot of, and would like to line up against him. So I think Crazy Margie is supposed to race him. So I kind of get dirty seconds. So, but I told him if Margie gets him, because I'm the one that tunes it, he don't want any part of mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but no. In all seriousness, them guys run good, and I actually talked with Billy on the phone today because some things were kind of getting out of hand on some posts, and I just like to nip it in the butt. So I think he appreciated me calling him and ironing some things out. So, but yeah, I think we're going to try to get him some races and some guys he's bringing down, and just try to have a good time. So win or lose, it'll be an honor to race, him as well. So we'll see. But Brian, sure. I mean, I can put him on the trailer too. It's fine.
Wow. Okay. So
What's next?
So, you're gonna get kicked out. Oh wait, sorry. Okay. Anyway, so this is I've usually already asked it by now, but what do you do besides car stuff for fun?
Wow. Babe.
Y'all go ballroom dancing or anything?
No.
You apparently
No.
lift weights.
I that would be where I would go next. I spend a lot of time. I used to competitively power lift years ago, but my age has kind of slowed that down to where I want to be able to walk when I'm 55 or 50. So I kind of just stay in shape and try to eat a little better. So I do work out a lot with my wife. Um, you know, we're actually looking at getting an RV, which may turn into not only helping some expenses on traveling and staying in hotels, but we might start doing some stuff that I ain't really ever did before. Just kind of get out and go, just do something that isn't racing related. So just kind of break it up a little bit. But other than that, it seems like a kind of business. Like I said, I ran a business forever, and I have a regular job. And I'm just fortunate enough to have Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. So it's kind of helped me start offering some people some of my knowledge and some, doing some team viewer tuning and stuff. So I think in the next couple weeks, I'm going to put something together and post it up and start offering, some of that stuff. And it's probably going to be cheaper than what most people can go and do, just because I love doing it, but also, I feel like my time's worth something. So, I think some other people can say that, a few keystrokes and I can get them down most roads. So I think that's a benefit in the world of what we're doing nowadays of no prep racing and stuff. So I'm going to start doing some stuff like that, maybe going to the track and working on some people's car suspension wise and tuning. So make a little extra money and just that's my plan.
So we got, where'd he go? We got Lester. We know who his boss is, Miller. So his head's as big as his muscles.
I I don't know it. I mean, it looks pretty normal sized. But I am sporting 660 and a shout out to Skinny's Justin and Karen over there, a good bunch, and they're one of my sponsors. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But no, Lester, me and him have been racing against each other years now. And he's always been really fast. And he's kind of moved into the no prep world and had to tame his car down a little bit. Where power isn't always what wins the races. And I think a lot of these guys that are coming out of the woodworks, these X275 and these super 3,000 horsepower guys are learning real quick that you're going to get your ass busted with a 550 car. You know what I mean? Because you don't need all that horsepower. So, but Lester, me and him go back and forth at George Ray's. He won on a Friday night. We went to a little track that hadn't been raced on in I don't even know 4 or 5 years. Aberdeen. What even state was that?
That's Mississippi.
Mississippi. I believe Sean Ayers. They call him Eyes. Put on a race, and it was cool. It was real sketchy. And, there's grass growing up in it, just like, what am I doing here? But me and him were battling back and forth. He won Friday, come back. We had another cash day Saturday, me and him in the finals. And then I beat him by what he beat me by. So, me and him go back and forth a lot. Real good guy. Appreciate, Lester's got a lot of knowledge. A good guy, very personable, do anything for you. So, if he don't like my head, I don't know what to tell him.
Okay. So don't forget about the stock block record Mike Lowe built you.
Okay, rewind back to I didn't want to toot my horn too much. You can Google me. I did a lot of. I'm one of those people that I see all these people making these claims of I did this and I did that and this, that, and the other, but there's never no documentation or their build process of what they did. So when I started this back in 2009, I just started capturing my builds and my, I would write little articles on LS1 Tech of things I was doing. And, people told me you can't run manifolds turned around backwards and you can't run a frozen boost intercooler and make any power. You got to have a precision, and here I am making numbers that people had never seen. I held the stock block record for a long time. I held the stock crank. I think I created them. I don't even think there was a record. That's how long I've been doing this. So, I think I was running 490s on 6.0 manifolds turned around backwards at some of these X275 races. And people were like, what the hell? And they got, a custom set of turbo headers. Now everybody buys eBay ones and shit now, but you're looking at 3,000, 3,500 taken to these chassis shops. Here I got a set of truck manifolds, not even ported, turned around backwards and going in the fours. So I like to try different things and try to make people scratch their head of how I'm doing it. So, but yeah, Chris is right. Mike, great engine builder. Had no issues. Me and Mike, I R&D'd a lot of things that Mike incorporates now in his engines. I won't get into details or specifics, but back then, I think I'm still on some list, and I don't even know what it is. But in 2013 or 14, I think I unofficially went like 477 at 152 at 3,200 pounds on pump gas E85. I didn't have M1. I didn't have Q16. I did it on out of the pump E85, which was another thing that people said, you can't do that, but I did it. And I've had E85 ever since. I love it. I wouldn't switch to anything else unless someone just says, hey, I'm going to pay for you to have this fuel. But I love it. It works great. So, but Mike did build me several good motors and put me in the winning circle a lot in some of the X races and a lot of the competitive races that I did. So, thanks for reminding me of that, Chris.
So, where'd it go? Everybody, they're chatting in here.
Okay.
Oh, Brian Norvell said he got a road that they can go to back of the gate, real street.
Yeah. And something I want to touch on that, and I'm not necessarily a promoter, but what I'm seeing a lot of is a lot of these streets aren't becoming virgin anymore, and with all the variety of pimp juices and the concoctions out there and mixing in and sometimes you get out there and it is absolutely the stickiest stuff that you've ever stepped in, and not that wouldn't happen on a truly virgin road by the end of the night, but my outlook of it is I like virgin sketchy roads. For one, I think it makes it more of a equal playing field for everyone, whether you have more power or not, because then it becomes a suspension and a tuner's game, which anybody can go build a car or buy a car that's fast, but it takes someone special and someone with some knowledge and testing and to go out on a surface that you just look at and go down that surface. And it doesn't matter if you run a 6.0 or if you run a 5.0, a win's a win. So if I beat you and I run a 6.01, I beat you. I don't care if I run a 480. Do I know my car would go run a 480? Sure, if I want to go to a track, stick it down and make it do it. Absolutely. But I still win. 4 seasons I've had this motor in my car. And one of those I attribute to is not having to run it all out because I've been running these no prep series where you don't have to run that fast to win. You just have to A to B the first one, because if you're going to a true no prep, and this is my opinion, if you're going to a true no prep race and you're running 480s to 5.0s, that's not a no prep.
No,
that's not a no prep. Now, if you're running 530s to 560s, I think is a relatively good number that most of us can run that is truly no prep. And that's my opinion. So, a lot of these roads are just getting so good that, we're busting off these ridiculous numbers, but let's move the starting lines. Let's move them up. Let's get them out. Let's get us back into we already are racing on sketchy stuff anyway. So let's make it sketchy. If it's too sketchy for you, let out. That's just part of it. So that's why I like George Ray's, Aberdeen, the back of Jackson, things like that. I've never been to Texas. I hope I hope next year I get to travel down there, see some of the roads. You guys just have a lot more areas to run, and I'm sure some of yours are more, yeah, I'm 3/10 off here, or no, I'm 4/10 faster here. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that. So, even if we have to move the starting lines up 200 feet, if we got the room to just start getting it a little more, and start seeing some of these other guys win that really do still have fast cars, but everybody's got, the electronics and the G14 classified gadgets and stuff, and it makes for the and I say slower. I don't think they're slower. I just think that if we put them on a more equal surface, that I think we would have a lot more competitive, better races. So,
Hell, I do that all the time. People go out and they'll test, and they're all right. Well, we're moving up 200 feet. And they're like, what? Hell,
right, and
I did it for filming too. When they were filming the Street Outlaw deal, they had their cameras set and everything, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but we're moving up. We're moving up 100 feet. And they're all, well, we can't. And I'm like, oh, well, you can't race right here because there's a hole right there for one, and where they're doing the burnouts, and then they didn't even think about none of that stuff, so they ended up moving up.
Mhm. and I think a lot of the other promoters should get on board with that. Is just throwing some kinks into that, because we all know a lot of people will sneak out and test. They know buddy's got a buddy, or a buddy's got this, and I get it totally. But the opportunity of people getting to go test in a town that they know where the race is going to be and right where it's going to be, it becomes a little bit of a advantage to the people that aren't coming. And I'm all about off the trailer and not running. But if you can spend a week out somewhere in your backyard testing on the road that you're going to race at, I I just think that's not cool.
Oh, I
So
agree.
so
That's why
moving,
I don't tell nobody where we're racing. That's
yeah,
why
and
everybody's
I
on.
yeah, I think moving, throwing a kink in it, moving the starting line, moving to a different area, and just keeping people on their toes. And you're going to have the few that can still do it, the guys that kind of know what they're doing, but also I think it's going to give some of these other guys that aren't getting through these first rounds because they're getting beat by the guys that always win. So it's just food for thought to going into next year. I'm not promoting races, and I plan to come to every ones that they do, but I hope to see that next year more, to where we're not, like I said, a win's a win. I don't care if your car's making 800 horsepower or if it's making 1800 horsepower. If you're on a true no prep, that 800 horsepower car is probably going to dominate over that 1800 horsepower car 6, 7 times out of 10.
Yep.
And that's just my opinion. So why do we need to run 160 on the street? Because guess what? That $5,000 paycheck is going to be the same whether you run 130 or you run 160. So if you want to go fast and do that, then go prep racing. So,
Yep.
but that's my soapbox. So,
Yeah. Bree Lindsay wants to know. Sean wants to know, is X85 better than the pump fuel?
uh, Bree and her husband Sean, they actually are my VP dealers, and there again was one of my, when we get to the end or whenever we do the special thanks to sponsors kind of deal. I think with the weather and the conditions and the way, I don't know how much you all have E85 down there, or what, but what happens here in the winter months and the summer months is the content of the ethanol changes. Now, fuel injection wise, it catches. It's going to command the air fuel ratio no matter what. But what happens is the octane rating becomes less. which in turn you need the octane there for detonation and everything else. So if I'm out there and got a tune for 85% ethanol and I go put in 51% or whatever the lowest rate that they allow to do, I might possibly could burn something up because of its inconsistency. So, I did switch to something that was more consistent, or at least I trust that it is. And it's worked out for me. And and knock on wood, I don't burn head gaskets, and I don't run anything fancy. The new gaskets they got. I got an LS motor, which we didn't even get to that, or maybe we did. I don't run anything fancy. The I don't even know the names. The Athenas and the rings no. I run an LS9 gasket, and I've never burnt one.
Yeah.
And so it's a tuning thing. It's compression. It's camshaft profiles and lobes, and it's just a little common sense. Don't go out there and try to run, set the world on fire. Creep your way up to it. Read your plugs, and you can get by with an LS9 gasket with no problem. So, but I do like the VP. Thank you, Sean and Bree, for what you guys do and help me out on the fuel. I appreciate that.
All right. So, uh, I guess you're just way you talked about earlier. So you're the reason why everybody LS swaps everything nowadays, huh? So you're the first one,
What is that called? The innovator or whatever. No, I wouldn't say that, but I would say that I was fairly one of the first people to have an LS, documented in a Mustang, and then turbo, and then E85 on top of that, because nobody even knew what that was and were scared as heck of it. Um, but now everything has an LS in it. You can't go buy an LS. They're in rock crawlers. They're in UTVs. They got them in everything. They got them on scooters. You used to be able to buy them for $200 for a 6.0, and heck, you're lucky to get one for $1,700 now. So but there again, you treat them right, you tune them right, and like I said, I'm on the fourth season. I just finished a new short block for my car for next year. I just did a leak down and compression check on this one last week before this race. Less than 10% leak down. Compression is as good as it has been since it was new and fresh. So that's just some maintenance things I do just for my own personal, just wanting to know, and just a maintenance thing that most of us that's been racing a while know to do. So I wouldn't say I innovated it, but I could say that you could go back and Google my name. I R&D'd the Outlaw kit that Kevin Slobby from and I always say his last name wrong. Baseline Suspensions created. I was one of the first guys to have his Outlaw kit, and he was a big sponsor for me back in the day. And I'm, in 2013, I'm cutting 109 and 110 60 foots. On a 275, which now that's still good, but there's a lot of people doing better. But we're talking, a lot of years ago. So it I've just did so much. So, but
so I see these people talking about, so like you use skinnies, somebody uses devil's glue, somebody uses pimp juice. Uh, they're like, this car won with skinnies. Now, how big, how big is it? Is the prep doing for your car versus tuning your suspension? That you know.
I say it's like anything else. It's like getting the right torque converter and the right gear set ratio and the right rear end gear ratio and camshaft profile. I just think it's another one of those tuning tools that is just in your arsenal to have. I've been one to test a lot of products and traction control liquids, if you want to call them that, or VHT or whatever. I've tested a lot of them, from burning them in my garage to trying them on the street, and so it wasn't just Justin called me and said, "Hey, I'll do this for you," and you run my stuff. No, I've tested a lot of them. I've used VP. I've made my own. I've mixed this, and not saying that anybody else's product doesn't do good for them. There's all kinds of stuff out there, but I contribute, a lot of my wins to how my car 60 foots, which not only is tune related, suspension related, but also the way the tire reacts to the Skinny's product. So
I got you.
So and one more thing, that's why if you watch me, I try, and I tell the wife, because she does my pulling up and stuff, I try to do my burnouts not in someone else's stuff, even if it puts me back 3 or 4 foot. Everybody wants to be right on that line because it's right there close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like to have that fresh stuff in hopes that I'm getting at least 80% or more of Skinny's, the product that I use for me. So that's just if you want to call it a secret or something that I do different, there you go. That's one of my tricks. So now I'm going to get beat because someone will do it. But no, anybody that watches and pay attention, you see people got and also I want to give a shout out to, and it's not me. You have to have me. Are we back? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
I got you.
Are you there?
You. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I think I'm losing signal.
Can
Or
you
you're
hear me?
losing. I can now. Yes.
Okay.
To get back on saying this does that or this, that, and the other. I think having a crew that is consistent on they are as important for me as I am as the driver. Because if they're off their game, then that puts me off my game in the car, because I have a sequence, I have a way I do things. And, my wife is a big part of she knows the signals that I need to know. She knows how to move her hand. I don't like half little shakes or whatever. I want to know left, or I want to know right. And, so having the right crew and the right people and consistency there is absolutely almost, if not as important as myself as the tuner and the driver of the car. So I give major props to all the people, including my wife, that help me each and every time I pull up there to try to do the same thing, the same consistent way each time. That way we have a flawless run.
I got you.
So
So Brian Norvell wants to know, what made you go from track racing to street racing and no prep?
I guess it got into the money. Probably was the big thing. I was in a transition of job changing when I quit X Racing, which so I took a big pay cut to not have to move to a different state. I had a younger daughter then. So money was a big part of it. That made me reevaluate what I wanted to do in terms of competitive racing and how fast I wanted to go, because it started to get, you know I did 235 stuff, and everybody thought, oh, 235s is gonna just make this, everybody's gonna slow down. That didn't happen. So I even tried that stuff just to say, okay, well, can we go a little slower so I can not have to push my car running 460s every weekend. But it just boiled down to really money. And I've always been a street racer, and I got video after video, and on I actually called my business Burgess Performance when I had it. So if you ever went to YouTube and just want to watch hundreds of videos of me doing everything in every car that I've ever had, they're all on there. And from street racing, and like I said, racing with Scott Lowry, some of these old heads that's been doing this stuff for a long time before anybody was. I'm down there at super shops in Memphis when Shafroth and Spiro Pappas, and some of these people that we race against now don't even know who don't even know who they are. So, I've been around this stuff so long. So, to really boil down to, I would say it would just more money. And I think the camaraderie and there is drama, don't get me wrong, but I think the camaraderie and the coming together, even though sometimes we may butt heads, is a lot better in the street racing world, if that makes sense. Um, I feel that way. So, and then also being part of a good team where you feel like you're all family is a big help too. So, um, I think I like that aspect of it too as well.
Now we'll end the questions with this one right here, because this is a pretty good question right here.
Oh boy.
Oh, what do you find most important, power management or suspension movement, or proper setup?
What do you find more important, power management or suspension movement and proper setup? It's kind of there again. I think every car is different. Every weight, how the cars scale out, all of them are different. No two are the same. My buddy had a Mustang and it did this, or I had a F body and it did that. I don't buy that. I spend the extra time to either borrow scales or have my own scales to plot my instant center, my check my center of gravity. These are things that a lot of people don't know that are important to how these cars react. So, power management, absolutely, a key, especially in the world of true no prep racing, is very important. Because what you find there is a lot of people got stuck in their head of, I want to go fast, 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 fast. And that's instilled in their head. So they want to leave with 38 degrees of timing off the trans brake at 4,500. And well, it's stuck at the track. And then they go out there and they're knocking the tires off. Well, why don't you knock it in the head? Why don't you pull 10 degrees out? Well, I don't do that. Then it won't make no power. Okay. So you give little subtle hints to people, and some of them listen and some of them don't. So power management, and even whether you're running some of the technologies of traction control and things like that they have nowadays, or just simply being able, I find myself just staring at my computer and studying, overlaying my data logs over my timing tables, and trying to figure out where can I get a little more power here, So it's just trial and error and test. So I don't know if I hit all that question. Did I miss it all? Or was there
No,
another
no,
part?
no. It just pretty much where'd it go?
Yeah, bring
The
it up again.
power management versus suspension movement and proper setup.
It's all three of those are key. You can't have one right without the other one working. It just don't work like that. You have to have all 8 cylinders, if you want to call it that way, have to be hitting at 100%. So you can't go out there with the perfect power management, because how would you know you had perfect power management if it never hooked? So then you got to get the hooking right. Then, well, wait, I can make more power because now I got a hooking right. So see what I mean? It's a snowball effect. You have to have all of them working in conjunction. And once you got them going, then you start creeping in one thing at a time. Do I want to put a little more power in it? Do I want to put a little more bite in it? Do I want to change tire pressure? That's how you do it.
Yeah. And Brian says you've been dragging his ass for years. He's not scared to race the old man.
Brian, and Brian's not scared to race anybody, and Brian is somebody that'll go out there and run whoever, and he'll travel, and he may not be the fastest, but he gets out there and he does it, and he has a good time, and he brings a good crew with him, and I got to respect that. He does it, and he's usually tries to be everywhere that everybody's at. So
I got you. Well, who do you want to your sponsors? Just go ahead and start doing that.
well, I'm going to be honest with you. My sponsor list isn't huge, which is something that I'm going to work on now that I feel like I got some data and I got some evidence, and some, a lot of wins under my belt, to start reaching out to some different people this winter, with companies that I've worked with back in years ago. Skinny's does help me out on product. PTC, I've been with them guys for well over 20 years. If I got a problem, I'm really good friends with Eric Malone, who I've raced with, become real good friends with, that works for PTC. So I can say, those guys have helped me out, on different costs and things like that. Race Part Solutions, Darren over there, great guy. I text him if I need something. If I need something, he's right on top of it. If he can't get it or don't have it, he'll find it for me. A local best friend, Phillips Auto Service, Billy Phillips. I've been friends with him for 25 years. I don't have a lift at my shop. So, if I need a lift or I need something like that, or need tires changed over or whatever, something I can't do, I got people like that, good friends that'll help me out. Next, Mike Foster, or F&S Performance. He's bailed me out on a lot of things. He's got a little S10 truck, turbo truck that ran real solid first of the season, and he got into some other things, but he's going to be back out next year. So look for the beater to be coming out. Midwest Engines, they do my short blocks. I usually do the rest of the stuff on them. 4 seasons on it. Great bunch of guys, really do a good work. Reed over at Works Turbochargers. He helps me when I need it. Like I said, I've had this turbo for a long time and I've not even freshened it up. But I am looking to possibly upgrade to a different style billet wheel to try to gain some more mile an hour. Trying to make this quick here. CFM Performance this year. I run just a factory 799 head, but I've known Mike Stark for back when I was racing years ago. One of the only men still left that actually hand poured cylinder heads. He actually ported my heads and helped me out on some of the prices on that. So shout out to those guys. Then let's see, Ryan Trussell, RT Performance, good bunch of guys, real good tuner. Has helped me tremendously on different things on the Holly system and learning different questions I have. He's always answering for it, you know, and and then hang on, I was reading something else. And then last, I would say my team at Southern Street Racers has been a real good, a blessing to be a part of. They brought me in. I showed them what I could do. I think I've been a real asset to them, and not only, having a quicker car, but my knowledge and my passion for going out and helping them test and helping when I can. So great bunch of guys, Matt, and I can name all of them, but I'm not going to. They know who they are. So thank you guys. So I appreciate that. So, and man, and if I forgot and if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. So
What about everybody's
I
been
see
talking
Danny
about it.
Pease
Everybody's been talking
wrote
about it.
there.
How about your wife?
I will help me say. What did you say again?
How about your wife? Your wife lining you up and being there for you.
Yes, very there again. She's if you go to my page, I made a post this morning after looking at Timbers Curtis crash this weekend down there, that you were there, and seeing a picture and my wife walking there with him. She didn't have. We were all the way at the starting line of the track when we heard it, and I didn't have my golf cart there, and she just sprinted down there, and it was just a reminder to me, looking at her in that picture, that I just wanted to thank her for being a support for me and being there for me. And I'm not the easiest to deal with sometimes when I get stressed out and get in the car zone, and she's she can calm me down and gives me that kiss before I take off. So I taught her, and I told her I wanted her to be the one that lines me up, and that's what she does, and I think she does an excellent job at that, and I'm proud of her for that. And one more thing, this weekend, I don't know if you were there, but everybody was loaded up, and I was like, I wanted to grudge race the entertainer, but he was having some issues. And then Beetlejuice, we kind of had some talk on the internet, but he had to go home, and that's fine. So I wasn't stressing out about it. So the car's sitting out there, and I looked at the wife and I said, "Hey, do you want to go for a pass?"
I was there.
Yeah, okay. She looked at me and she said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I was over there helping Jamie with his car a little bit. And I said, "Man, do you have a helmet I can use?" And she's like, "I don't want to get makeup in anybody's helmet." And I was like, "Well, you can wear my helmet and I'll wear somebody else's helmet." So I tried to put my big head into Jamie Otts's helmet, and it wasn't going on. I couldn't have sledgehammered it on. So, of course, the big head jokes came out real quick. But my buddy Rodney, I said, "Can I use your hat?" He's the guy that beat me down there in the Trans Am.
Yeah.
And
Turgeon.
yeah, third gen. Sorry, IROC. And he said, "Oh, I got the helmet for you." And I'm like, "Okay." He brings out the helmet with the blue mohawk on it. But she tore it up. She put it on like it was the coolest helmet that you could buy, and I strapped her in. And at the time I thought, am I going to make a full pass? But the car was going straight. That I thought it was good, so I went out there and just made a good lick. And hell, I think it was one of my best passes I'd made out there. And she just said, she looked at me, and I said, "Well, what'd you think?" She said, "Well, you're lucky that I can't reach the pedals because I'd be driving this thing."
Oh.
So I might be booted out and let her drive it.
The warden's going to be driving.
That's right. So I can't really see what else anyone's saying about
Yeah,
her.
we'll put this back up. Danny said, ask about your calm down room in your house.
I can say that Danny has seen me at some of my worst moments, but I feel like as the older I get, and I realize how much stress some of that stuff gets you worked up, that I try to let as much stuff roll off my back as I can, and I guess my calm down room would just be going and lay down and go to sleep, because I'm old, and this is really past my bedtime. So, but yeah, me and Danny, we go back a long way, so he knows me pretty well. So,
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and it was nice hearing all the stories and stuff.
yeah, I appreciate you having me. I love the opportunity, and I got a few more races. I'm going to go ahead and there again. I'm still not sure if I'm going to race this weekend or just street race. And then I got Georgia race coming up after that, that I think will possibly be my last race of the season. So unless something pops up, something small, but I'm just ready to kind of chill out and make some changes to the car. Nothing major. I'm just going to try to lose a little weight in it, and it's still got everything, interior and dash and weight where it really doesn't need weight. So just some small stuff, not major. Put a fresh engine in it, and then just freshen up the other one to have a backup if I need it. So.
Well, all right. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on. It was a
You,
pleasure.
yeah, it was a pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time to have me on. So thank you very much.
All right. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks. All right. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
There you have it, first, folks. Liberty Bell, Van Burgess. Man, some of these comments I wanted to post up. I wanted to show him, but I don't think he was really looking at it and stuff. But uh, sound like he's one of the first ones to pioneer the LS swap. So there's your hero, people. There's y'all's hero right there. He's the pioneer of that stuff. Uh, and if sound like he could use some sponsors. If y'all want to gear up for him for next year, apparently he's a proven winner. So get after it. Uh, it's almost my bedtime. Well, it's past my bedtime. People, I get up at like 3:30 in the morning to go to work. So uh, fans talking about how he's tired. It's past his bedtime. And, give me 3 or 4 hours. I'm good. Anyway, I think Trick Turbo. Wait, how's that work? Trick Turbo. They sponsor the Monday morning recap. And we need another. I don't. This weekend. I don't think we have anything. I don't think we're going anywhere. I think we get a weekend off. Other than I think just the track car takeover is happening in Oklahoma City, but I don't know if I'll go up there for that. But we might be doing something here locally in the DFW area, so on the street. So Who knows? Later.